This is February 18th, 2024. Where does the time go? I remember when it was 1924. Well, maybe not. Want to welcome this week to the hot seat Jeremy Butler from Virginia. And we'll start. If others join in, don't forget, have your questions ready. We always start these things, Jeremy. I don't know if you've watched it, any or many or whatever, but I've gotten to where I ask the most serious questions first. Okay, and what I'd like to find out is, how do you feel now that Pluto has been downgraded?
That one was rough. That one just, damn, that hurts because you take away the what was it, the my very, I can't even remember the terminology, but they took the pizza away. Let's put it that way.
Well, I don't know how Mickey and Minnie can put up with this, you know. Oh, no, that's a different Pluto.
Oh, different Pluto, yes.
Yeah. That's why the kids in school always remember that planet. You know, now you take it away. Oh, no. Anyhow, enough with that. So anyhow, let's go ahead and we'll start on the caller side of the mic. I bounce around on these things. When did you start dancing, and what lured you to the activity?
Let's see. I started dancing in took classes in '94. The lure was a girl. Of course, I had a friend that was in another extracurricular activity that we were both a part of, and then I ran into her at a square dance. Of course, I ran into her at a square dance because my family was has always been involved in the square dancing activity. So even though I grew up with it, I didn't actually start dancing until I was 17. And then started calling a couple years later.
Wow. And was it an accident, or you just thought, hey, I want to try this?
Well, the calling aspect, I was kind of, basically I was tricked into it. So my grandfather was he was having we had a local callers association, and they were training some of the newer callers on how the calls work and how to use them and how to get to an Alaman left, yada yada yada. So he asked me to come and fill in the square, wear a penny and all that fun stuff, so that we could so that he could do those kinds of exercises with these callers. And of course, they're sitting there, and he's like, "Okay, you just need one call to get to an Alaman left. What is it?" And I'm going, "I know, I know."
Yeah.
I know what it is, and I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for the other call to fit. He can't figure it out. He's spitting out all these calls, and it's like, no, no, no. It's a slide through. All you need is a slide through. Come on, And so I didn't do anything at that point, but after that, we went home, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do that. Why don't you get me started? So.
Wow. That's
And that was it's actually an interesting thing is, he started me out differently than I think most callers start out. Most callers start out by picking out a singing call and learning a singing call, right? He didn't start me that way. He asked me to pick out a patter record. And he said, he put the patter record on, and he said, I want you to call to the patter record. And I just want you to, you don't have to, the calls don't have to make sense. They don't have to flow. Just start saying calls on beat, in time, with the correct timing, and get the calls out on the beat. So I practiced that for a little while, and then he had me actually go in and start writing sequences and then repeating those in the proper timing. So I actually started memorizing modules just by reading the ones that I had written over and over and over again with the correct timing. And then that was pretty much it. So I actually started by learning pattern,
Yeah.
uh, uh, using modules rather than learning singing calls, which singing calls are that's an easy piece. So
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that approach because, uh, well, for one thing, it's one of the things I did when I started was because we didn't have any help back in the old days. But
yeah,
you want to sound like a caller. Yeah.
yeah, and I think the most important and people ask me this today. They go, "What do you think the most important part of calling is?" And I say timing. Timing is the most important thing.
Yes.
If they don't have the call in time, then they have to stop and wait, and that's no fun.
No, not for the dancer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be any fun for the caller because they see all that stop and go stuff. Um, no, that's okay. Look at that. Lars is enjoying the sea weather there. Now you can tolerate bad stuff. Anyhow, so who do you call for? Where do you call now?
So I have I have a club, my own caller run club up in the Richmond area, which is actually a couple hours from me. It's about 100 miles from me.
Hmm.
Um, and I call for them on a weekly basis. It's an advanced club. Um, we do advanced, and I'm teaching C1 at the moment, but um, I don't have a plus club any longer, or not technically I do, but they still haven't started dancing after the pandemic. So
Oh wow.
kind of waiting around for them to figure out if or when they're going to do something. Um, so we'll I don't know, kind of holding on to see if they're going to do something with that. If they don't, then I'll probably start something up myself here locally
Hmm.
uh, as far as a plus club goes,
Yeah.
uh, or an SSD club. It depends on.
Hmm. Whatever. Yeah. Well, so how would your family and friends describe you as far as calling goes?
First, yeah, well, um, as far as calling goes, that's kind of interesting. I don't know that I've ever had anyone describe me as a or heard anyone describe me as a caller other than funny, um, and interesting choreography. Um, that's probably about as much as I can
Okay.
dish out. But yeah, the uh, uh, it's one of those things that I strive to be an interesting choreographer, and I think I succeed in most cases. But I don't know. It's like a comedian. They tend to try out jokes, and if they don't work, sometimes they fall flat. So
Well,
same thing with choreography. Sometimes you come up with something really cool, and it just kind of everybody's just kind of like ho hum.
yeah. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Sometimes you wonder. My nightmares are where I all I can do is element left and a right left grand. I might sneak a lady's chain in there, but that's about it. That to me, that's a nightmare.
And it's so strange. It's so random because I will come up with a piece that I like think is so good, and I will have that piece, and I will present it, and everybody gets through it, and they're kind of like, hey, yeah, okay, and then I'll use it for literally years,
Yeah.
and then one night at my home club, I'll call it, and they'll be like, wow, that was really cool, and I'll be like, I've been using that for a very long time, right?
Uh, You can't win
Like
sometimes.
that's the first time we've ever seen that. And I'm like, no, it's not.
No guess, right? Uh, you kind of want, well, we know where they're coming from. We've all been there. We've all done it. We've all been the dancer that didn't hear the caller say, well, I thought he said relay the deucey. No, he said star through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Darn, I must have missed something. Um, how would you describe yourself in let's say one word?
Calling wise,
Yeah.
uh, um,
Hmm.
stoic.
Okay. Okay.
You're
Uh,
looking for me to energize a floor. It's not really going to happen a whole lot. I reserve my energetic rousings for very rare occasions.
okay. Uh, well, that makes them all the more good when it comes out. Then
Yeah, yeah.
very good. Uh, let's go to the other side of the mic. Then, how would you describe yourself as as a normal human being?
Wow. Uh, very well, I would say reserved. I'm a wallflower. When you get me in public, and I just kind of like sit around and watch people.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm not a huge extrovert. I'm kind of guy that sits back and watches which is kind of interesting, for somebody that stands up on stage and entertains people. Um, you
Yeah.
don't generally expect introverts, right?
Well, a number of callers have said that though, and I feel the same way. Um, when you're behind the mic, that's when you become energized. Otherwise, yeah, I'd I kind of, I could go to a dance and nobody would know I was there. So, other than they might recognize me.
Right.
Um, I let my wife do all the schmoozing because she's good at that. Um, yeah, but I do try to, yeah, I do try to excite the dancers and get them to uh, laugh at themselves, have fun. So let's go on to another. Oh, let's see. Yeah, let's stick on the other side of the mic. And uh, what is your career path?
So my career path, I went to school for like technical computer drafting and stuff. Um, hey, look, a whiteboard. The the technical drafting thing, I got a job and ended up doing that for about a year, and then I realized that you can't make any money doing that. Um, like the top guy at the office I was working at was making like $15 an hour, and I thought
Oh,
he works way too hard for $15 an hour. Now, keep in mind this was 19. It was a while ago, but then I ended up in '99. I know it was '99 because I got a job in computers, working on a project taking care of the Y2K bug
oh yeah.
uh, for a government agency. Um, and after that job, that contract was done, the company I was working for retained me, and they taught me how to work on computers. So for the last 23 years, I've been working on computers, just fixing them, repairing them, upgrading, networking them, managing them,
Okay.
doing all that sort of thing.
I keep you busy. That's great.
Yeah, it's been a lot to, there's a lot to keep up with, but if you're in the field the whole time, then,
Hmm.
you learn it as you go. People go, well, it changes so much. How do you keep up with it? Well, you're witness to all the changes. So
Hmm. I would imagine it's just like with square dance calling. I'm sure you.
yeah, generally I was working with Windows computers. Occasionally we do some networking with some servers and stuff. Servers don't really play much of a part anymore though. Because usually with servers, you're talking about like file servers and stuff like that. So file servers have kind of gone the way of the dodo with all the cloud computing now. Uh,
Oh,
People are storing their files and everything on the web, on the cloud. Uh,
wow.
so just got to make sure that's backed up like everything else.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. Uh,
just because it's in the cloud doesn't mean it's safe up there.
yeah, I've always wondered about that. Who else is messing with my cloud?
Yeah. Well, somebody owns it. That's what people always go, what is the cloud?
Yeah,
And I just go, it's the cloud just means it's somebody else's computer.
that's yeah, yeah. Well, that's what
Somebody
I
else's
thought.
computer on the internet.
It's this big thing up in the sky.
Hmm.
It all goes there. You have to watch out if you're flying an airplane and it's got writing on it. Don't fly into that cloud.
Yeah.
That's the computer cloud. If you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
Hmm. Let's see. That's a tough one. Let's see. Yeah, I don't even know. That would be really, really tough. That would be, um, working, working to get noticed. How's that?
Oh, okay. Uh, I think Jeff Priest had one that was good. I forget what it was now, but oh yeah, his epitap's going to be "What could go wrong?" And as a caller, everything, huh?
We say that all the time, right?
Yeah. What could go wrong here? You got five women in that square, three men, and you're all
Yeah.
wearing the same clothes. So yeah, I don't know.
What could go wrong?
What could go
I'll
wrong?
just start site calling and it's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Everybody site calls. They watch people. It's what they do with
We,
their.
we were calling last night and I'm standing there next to Matt. And we're calling a tip together and we look out on the floor and we're like, well, what square do we watch? And he goes, well, probably not that one. And I said, yeah, probably not that one. I'm gonna use this one over here. And he starts calling and he goes, what did I do? I used that square. I used the one I said I didn't want to use.
But
Yeah.
all right. Well, being a computer, um,
It's like I know I shouldn't use that square, but I'm going to anyway. I don't know why.
yeah. Well, isn't there a way of taking a picture of the squares and sort of in front of you so that
Now, why would you use technology to make your life easier? That's just silly.
I guess. Well, I have what they call a boogie board, and it's erasable, and I write down my corners for two or three squares that I hope I can trust.
Uh-huh.
But sometimes they do funny things on you anyhow. So
They do.
um, do you do callers clinics yourselves or workshops and all?
We usually have an education seminar at the state convention there. Of course, I try to help out anybody anytime anybody needs some advice or help or instruction or anything like that. And of course I do the GSI Caller School. I coach at that um, every year at the Nationals.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so that's another thing. I am working, the biggest thing in becoming an accredited caller coach, which is something I'm working towards, is getting all the hours that you need to qualify.
Yeah.
So just trying to build all those hours up, trying to get as many as I can.
Oh yeah.
Um, working on that, and it's rough because if you don't have anybody in your area that wants to learn, then
Yeah. That is tough. I've always been lucky. There's always been a handful of people that do want to do it.
yeah.
You know, so when I mentor them, I have them come in. They have to attend a beginner's class, and usually they attend a number of them, not just mine, but you know, because even when I was when I was starting calling, I would travel over into Massachusetts and Connecticut and on a regular basis on my nights off, and I would just take notes like crazy. It all helped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, do you remember your first kiss uh, apart from your family?
Uh, no, I don't think I do. I do.
You're just not going to tell us. That's what it is.
No,
You don't.
I really don't remember. Yeah, it was probably 14, 15, something like that. So,
Wow. So by the time you met your square dance girlfriend, you were well into kissing. Okay.
yeah.
When was the last time you were scared?
Uh, well, let's see. Um, that depends on what you consider scared. We did go to the Disney World uh, Hollywood Studios and did the Tower of Terror. Uh,
Oh, gee.
that's pretty frightening. Well, actually, if you consider scared or very uncomfortable and not feeling very well about it, would have been um, at Epcot when we went down to Disney World, and they have this centrifugal force ride. Was it Mission to Mars or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
And they close you up in this container, and it's like 6 inches from your face. They seal you in, and if you have any kind of claustrophobia, it is not a fun time. And I have developed in my many years here a feeling of claustrophobia sometimes. It's something I just feel like I can't breathe enough,
Oh, my.
it, even though there's plenty of room, plenty of air and all that stuff, but it
Yeah.
still gets in my head. So it's a tough one. So yeah, that was probably the last time I was um, with again, not necessarily scared, but uh, feeling
No.
very
No.
uneasy and uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. So, do you get nervous when you get up on the mic first, at a dance at first?
I suppose it depends on where, when, who's around.
Mm.
Um, typically like, the state convention here, I'm kind of pretty used to it, but I remember what it was like getting, nervous and jittery. But the more experience you have, the less it starts to affect you. So, I still get it everyone, going up on the live band stage at the Nationals or something.
Mhm.
Um, but it's not debilitating or anything. It's just
Yeah.
just a little nervousness. Um, and it's funny because I don't care how much experience you have or how many years you've been calling, you're going to run into moments where you feel that pressure and those butterflies in the stomach thing. Um, is kind of funny witnessing it happen. So if you know, we were on the well, here it is, the top of the line cruise
Oh yeah.
last week, and we were dancing on the ship. And the Saturday night, they got everybody up on the promenade deck. So we had 600 dancers on this cruise ship, on this one deck of this cruise ship. And we got the Tony, Ted, Jack, and Jet were all calling.
Oh yeah.
They're standing up above that deck on deck 6, looking down at deck 5 and calling to all of these. And I could tell those guys that with all their experience, all their years of calling under their belts, they were nervous as crap.
Yeah, it does. It happens. Um,
And that big of a stage, calling to people in front of, and they knew, of course, we were all going to be recording it, and there was going to be
okay.
pictures, and all that stuff, all over the place. So it was, you
Yeah.
know, well, even, I'm sure they've called the larger crowds on bigger stages. Those were all square dancers. This was in front of a little bit more than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, so who do you look up to in your in the calling field other than those guys that you just listed?
Well, and I look up to those guys for their knowledge in the way that they are able to put things together, and as far as events and weekends, and the way they can promote things and that sort of thing. Um, I look at choreography as a different matter for me. I have to find somebody that I really enjoy their choreography, or I think it's really interesting. It takes a bit of uh, it's a bit of a challenge to impress me choreographically. Uh, but Ted manages to do that, so I do like Ted Lazat. He's one of my go-tos for looking for an interesting piece of material or two. As far as presentation goes, Tony. As far as showmanship goes, Tony's that way. Someone to look up to, and uh, Jet's got smooth delivery and all those sorts of things. So there's lots of places to look for different things. If you were looking for the perfect caller, I don't think they exist. But a lot of those guys have a lot of good qualities that you can pick from.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's typically what I do. Is I look at, oh well, that's their thing. I'm going to take that from them and use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Make it craft it into your
Exactly.
personality. Yeah. Have you called overseas much?
With the exception of cruises, I have not called overseas. Um, so cruises, of course, I've done, the islands in the Caribbean, and
Oh yeah.
the did an Alaska cruise. So I called in, where was I? Victoria, Canada. But aside from that, no, I haven't really left the country very much.
Okay.
Um, and I'm starting to get around the country a bit. So
Yeah.
that's
That's good.
well, it's like, well, I mean, like you just said, working to get noticed, and that's kind of my thing. And then I've thought about that on several occasions. Is when I'm going to the nationals, and I'm calling on the live band stage. And a lot of guys go there and they're like, yeah, I want to try and get noticed and get somebody to, ask me for my
Mhm.
card and maybe book me for a weekend or something, and it's like, and I started thinking about that for a minute. And I thought, I'm getting up there at 8:30 on a Friday night at the National Square Dance level, at on the live band stage. I'm sandwiched in between uh, Mike Hogan and Tony Oxendine, and I've got a call in between them. Who is going to remember my singing call versus
Mhm.
them? Who's going to pick me out and go, "Wow, that guy was really, really good. We have to get him." It's probably not going to happen. So trying to get noticed on a national stage like that when you're surrounded by the top 20 callers in the world.
Yeah.
So I actually took I'm started to take a different approach to it. All those guys get up there and they do their very best singing call. I'm going to get up there and do some patter.
Mhm.
Um, just because I'm more comfortable doing patter. That's where I started, and I enjoy it more. And typically, the band enjoys doing it too because they get to pick and have a little fun.
Yeah.
And it's not something that everybody else does, so maybe I will get noticed. You know, um, people will take note and go, "Oh, hey, that guy's has got some good stuff. Wow, that was pretty cool." Um, versus me going up there and doing the same thing that everybody else does. And even if I did it as good as they did, again, how
Yeah.
much?
Yeah. Right. Right.
Which is asking a lot to do it as good as they do.
It is. Well, I don't know. You kind of have to exude that confidence that you are good and that they do want you. And a lot of that then rubs off on the dancers. Uh, you can't go up to them and say, "Hey, I'm really good. You should hire me." Now, there are a few of my friends that do that nationally that I know of, or their spouses do it for them, and that can be embarrassing.
Yeah,
At least it is to me. You know,
I know those guys.
yeah. Let's go to a different sort of a area here. Um, let's do the have you ever's. Okay. Uh, Ride a motorcycle,
No, I
jump
tried
out.
once.
uh, ever jump out of an airplane?
No,
Okay. Fly in a hot air balloon,
no,
scuba dive.
no. That goes to the claustrophobia thing.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, all that water. Um, work in a factory.
Sorta. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I worked for about 2 months at a screen printing company.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and we were making panels for NFL jerseys.
Oh,
And we it was they would set up the printing press, and they would press the things, and it was my job to take them off the thing, put them on the heater, go around to the other side, pull them off the heater, and put them in a box and bind them up. And on top of the heater being very hot, it was also about 100 degrees in that factory because it was the middle of summer and they didn't have air conditioning in there.
oh
So
boy.
that's why I only lasted about 2 months, and then I was done.
Wow. Ever pulled taffy?
Nope.
Okay. Been in the armed forces.
No, won't
Ridden a,
take me.
ridden a horse?
I have done that.
Yep. Much?
No,
Oh, okay.
very little, very little. And
Yep.
it was a very well trained horse, so it stayed under control for me.
Introverted horse. Okay. Um, have you ever wished you were taller or shorter?
Uh, no,
Hmm,
I'm 6-0. I'm good with that. It's a pretty good
good.
spot.
Okay. Do you play any musical instruments?
I do not. Um, Never have been coordinated enough for that. My hands do the same thing. I can't make them do separate things.
Well, they only have to do it at different times. Um, okay. So, what are your hobbies?
Um, so my wife and I we like to play games, different types of board games and card games and that sort of thing.
I'm glad
Uh,
you clarified that. Yes.
yeah, I used to enjoy video games. Unfortunately, I don't have much time for that anymore. Um, haven't had time for it for a while. I also enjoy Sudoku puzzles.
Oh yeah.
I do actually create them.
Oh yeah.
I design and make Sudokus. Um, so I have an entire if you go to my web page, I actually have a link on there, and you can see all the ones that I've created and posted.
Oh. Okay.
They're not easy. They're not easy ones, but they are completely hand designed by me.
Okay.
Which isn't as hard to do as you might think it is, but it is tedious sometimes because basically you have to create this puzzle with an idea, and then you have to test it and see if it works, see if you can figure it out logically, and then sometimes you'll get to a point where it's like, okay, well, you can't get any farther with using any kind of logic, so you're kind of stuck. So then you got to put another little clue in there to untie
Oh.
that knot. But then you got to be careful because sometimes that little clue that you put in makes another thing that you put in earlier not work as well, or so it can be a little tricky to get it to make a good puzzle.
Mhm.
But really, I mean, if you want to make an easy uh puzzle, like the first one I ever made was uh I had way too many clues and way too many ways to solve it in there, and it was that was like my first exposure to, hey, you don't you don't need to put clues for everything in there.
Yeah.
Just put enough clues in there that people can figure it out.
Hmm. Oh.
So that was an adventure. I, I designed about 80 puzzles over the course of a couple of years. That was my pandemic thing. I did that during the pandemic. That's what I started doing that, and I haven't really done much since. But again, it's a time consuming thing.
I would imagine. Yeah. I know my mom used to make crossword puzzles and anagrams and all that kind of puzzle stuff. She'd sell them to the magazines and whatnot, but I'd go to visit and her kitchen table would be covered with paper because it was, of course, pre computers.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, and that's the thing with Sudoku that Carrie just asked. How you make sure there's only one solution. Well, again, you have to test solve it and make sure that there's only one possible solution. And if you get to a point where there's two solutions, then you got to fix the puzzle because
hmm,
you got to put another clue in there to unravel
hmm,
that possibility. So it's a process. And you
okay.
usually have a friend test solve also. You have somebody else go through the puzzle and
Oh yeah, yeah,
make sure you didn't miss something or jump to a conclusion that you shouldn't have.
yeah. That's one of my fun things. Is I like.
So there's a YouTube channel called Cracking the Cryptic,
Oh yeah.
and that's what really got me into it. It's a couple British guys, and they solve Sudoku puzzles online while you watch them figure out the logic. And they go through the whole solve path of the puzzle and logically figure out how to go through it all without, it's a blind solve for them. They never seen the puzzle before they open it up and look at it.
Oh yeah.
Uh, because and they'll tell you outright that any Sudoku puzzle, a proper Sudoku puzzle only has one solution.
Hmm.
Uh, otherwise it's, why would you want a puzzle with multiple solutions? That's just not a good idea.
I
So anyway,
understand.
but they go through all the tricks of the puzzles and how to do this and how to do this and how to logically think about this and that and all that. And they've actually featured 11 of my puzzles
Oh,
on their channel over the years.
neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's cool. So, what's what's your favorite food?
I'm a fan of steak,
Mm,
a good, juicy, medium rare.
yeah. How about
Uh,
drinks? Wine, beer, mixed drinks, or abstain?
I prefer mixed drinks.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Iced tea, but I do like coffee uh, while I'm working.
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, Going to school, what was your favorite class, and what was your least favorite class?
Let's see. My favorite class would have been the technical drafting classes that I took, architecture and engineering and those types of things. Those were the most fun. Although I did enjoy the my U.S. history class. That was interesting. Um, because they get a little deeper than the surface level stuff that you normally see. Um, uh, Probably my least favorite class would have been my English class because I had an English teacher that was just a royal jerk and didn't understand him at all. He catered to the idiots in the class and tried to make best friends with them, while anybody who was uniquely having trouble or um, trying to get legitimate help, he kind of scoffed at and wasn't interested in helping them. So that was not didn't like that one.
Hmm.
Didn't like that one at all. But
Yeah. Well, going along the history thing, who would you like to have a coffee with from the past?
I think a very a very interesting person to have a chat with. It, the first person that comes into my mind is Isaac Newton.
Okay,
Uh, if you consider that he, as an individual, created physics, he had nothing to go on. He wasn't building on anything. He created it from scratch,
that's
which
true.
is
Yeah.
kind of amazing. So it'd be an interesting conversation to figure out why, how he developed that that line of thinking.
Hmm. How about Neil deGrasse Tyson from current day?
Uh, he seems extremely pompous to me.
Uh,
He is very full of himself, and I don't think that I would mesh well with that.
how about Bill the Science Guy? Bill Nye.
He's another interesting individual. He doesn't even have a degree in science.
No, I didn't know that.
He doesn't. He has a degree in media.
Well, for
Uh,
Pete's sake.
That's right. His degree is in media. He does have I think he has a doctorate, but he has his degree is in media and
Huh.
not any in any kind of science at all. So that doesn't mean that what the things that he conveys are wrong or anything. It just means that he's presenting them from a
Yeah.
kind of a false narrative. That's like me saying I'm a doctor and somebody somebody with a PhD saying they're a doctor, and it's like well,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of need to specify a little more.
Well, I have all those degrees. I have the BS degree
Uh-huh.
and the MS, which is more of the same,
Uh-huh.
and my PhD, the piled higher and deeper one.
There you go.
There we go.
I'll higher and deeper.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Yeah. Yeah. The number of degrees you have, they're they're nice. I mean, I got a
Hmm.
one, one
Yeah.
that one that I display. The others, they're all in a box somewhere. It's just part of ancient history. Um, so if you could live anywhere in the world, where would that be? Or are you happy right where you are?
That's an interesting I do like where I live. Um, you know, but that's perhaps that's a matter of being accustomed to it versus
Hmm.
of course I've gone a lot of places and I've you always come back and go, well, it's a nice place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there.
Hmm.
Um, funny enough, in my world geography class, um, I did they asked me to do a paper on a country. They were like, just pick a country and do write a paper on it. So I did that, and uh, the country that I chose was Sweden.
Oh,
And I found Sweden very interesting. Um,
did you find Hana and Lars there?
I did not. I did not.
Not a very in-depth paper then.
Simply found Volvo a lot. There's a lot
Oh,
about Volvo and high taxes. That's what I found.
wow. Yes. Do you cook?
I do
Ah,
enjoy cooking.
yeah. That's. Do you have any pets?
No pets.
No pets.
I find pets are counterintuitive to traveling.
Hmm. That's for sure. How about no? This is kind of silly. On my list here, I've got parents. Yeah, you had parents.
Yeah.
Let's skip over that one. That's my stupidity. Um, the kids.
No, no children.
Have you had uh, some embarrassing moments on the mic, or spectacular?
Oh, plenty, plenty.
Can you share some of those with us?
Well, I mean, you get the usual messing up of whatever you're doing or trying to figure something out. Well, most recent example on the cruise, I'm calling, and it's a plus tip, so it's no big deal. I'm on the singing call. The patter tip went great. The singing call's going great, and I get one of those intrusive thoughts. Uh, hey, I don't think I'm going to try this. And I knew I shouldn't try it. I knew I shouldn't do it. I knew it wasn't a good idea. And so but for some reason, my brain wanted me to do it. Side square through four, touch quarter, scoot back, boy run, touch a quarter, peel off, bend the line, slide through, swing and promenade. Did not go well. Did not go well. Well, I had one square do it. And then of course every single caller in the room, comes up and goes, really? Really? Last sequence, really? And I'm like, I know, I know.
I was trying to be a good example of a bad example.
Exactly. I know I shouldn't have. I know I shouldn't. It was a bad. I know, but I
Oh,
stopped myself. It just happened. So stuff like that. That does happen. I
yeah.
had one. I had one. I was doing a one nighter, and um, I was at a church doing. There's a floor full of about 60 or 70 uh younger people. People in their 20s, 30s, and they're doing the um electric slide.
Oh, yeah.
And so they wanted me to show them how to do it. And of course, what did I do? I got up and I'm like, okay, well, you go do this, and then you do that, and then you step back, and then you lean down, and you touch the ground. Well, when I let to go down and touch the ground, I fell right on my butt. And I'm just sitting there and I'm going, well, don't do it that way.
I thought you were going to say your pants tore.
uh,
And yeah, yeah, there are some things. I guess the worst thing is when people die in front of you.
oh,
That's
well, I was just last night I'm calling it the Virginia State Convention, and it's the last tip of the convention, and calling patter, and the fire alarm starts going off, and it's just in the hotel there. It's just it's
oh
super
yeah.
loud, and I just sat there and I stopped and all right, everybody smile, everybody jump up and down, stick out your tongue, check yourself, make sure you're not on fire. Can anybody smell smoke? And then the fire alarm went off and we kept going.
Ah, gee. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, so Carrie, the that sequence is not a bad sequence. It works great, but it's probably something that you should workshop in the patter before you go to try and use it in the singing call, because it is not the peel off from a column is not readily available to most dancers.
Yeah. That'll be last for standing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, so let me see here. Any particular TV shows you watch?
Um, I watch a bunch of different TV shows. Right now we kind of watch the uh some of the cooking shows.
Oh yeah.
Uh I'm a I'm a Gordon Ramsay fan, so
Oh,
I do enjoy um some kitchen nightmares or some next level chef,
um,
Hell's Kitchen. Those are fun.
oh, that's good. Uh, a whole nother level of nervousness for people.
Yes, yes.
Um, sorry. Anything you want to cover that like dances that you're going to be doing somewhere that you need to advertise or
Well, the next big thing coming up is the Wasca Festival, of course.
okay.
Uh, that's in that's next month. That's in a week, or a week, month, um, and that's of course in Alexandria, Virginia. Um, they've been building back up after the pandemic. I think they're around. They're almost back up to 1,000 dancers now.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
so it's a pretty good festival. Me and uh, some of the other callers that they get to come in, Buddy Weaver and Eric Hennerlaw and Mike Sikorsky, Joe Saltel. There's some good callers on the list.
Yeah.
Bill Harrison, Tom Miller, of course.
Oh, well, you got some really good guys there. Yeah.
Yep. So that's a good time. Um, the week after that is Color Lab,
Hmm.
um, which will be a good will be interesting, a bit interesting uh, trip down to Dallas there. So if you're interested in going to Color Lab,
Yep.
that's there in the Dallas Fort Worth Airport Hotel. Uh,
Oh,
I will be doing a dance for the Hotlanta Squares
oh yeah.
Zoom dance for them. I think that's later on this month.
Very good.
And let's see, I will also be calling for the gay national trail end dance in Durham, North Carolina.
Really? Oh my.
Be calling that dance with Tony. So that'll be fun.
Oh yeah. Have you called for the gay groups?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah. I've done 3 or 4 fly-ins. Scheduled to do a couple more. Um, Definitely a different animal.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out, and it's funny because it's always funny watching people who have never done it before come back from doing it, and they're like, "Man, it was,
Yeah.
it's like, yes, I know, because you can't look at somebody and go, okay, that person always dances the bell part with this person over here who always dances the bow."
No.
No,
No.
no, they dance with different people and they dance bow or bell interchangeably, and you have to wipe your brain completely clean every single tip and
Oh
relearn
yeah.
the floor every single tip.
Yeah. So, what are we going to put on your as a eulogy here for your? Have you got one like
one
Jeff?
one one worked out.
Well, what a sentence type of thing, like what could go wrong? Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt.
This will work out well.
Yeah, trust
Do
me.
not recommend.
Yeah, yeah. If you don't like my calling, try my Sudokus.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
Actually,
any,
it's actually kind of funny because with the number of people those British guys have on their channel, the Cracking the Cryptic channel, and the number of people that have seen my puzzles get solved and know me as a Sudoku creator, it's actually funny because I am worldwide better known as a Sudoku creator than a square dance scholar.
oh no, that's amazing. Uh, well, that's okay. We all have a niche somewhere. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anybody here have some questions for Jeremy?
Harry was asking about windmilling there. He wanted to know if I do that. Sometimes some of my clubs will do that. Some will do the where they promenade, they get home, and one couple will come out and another couple will come in. That can be a little taxing to keep track of. But yeah, we actually were
Espe-
just doing that at the convention.
Especially at a gay club, it's even worse, of course.
But yes, of course, yes. Then it gets even
Yes.
more complex.
Can you give us the links for? You said that there was that people that solved Sudokus on YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
Can you give us links to some of those? Not the whole channel. I just want the ones where they're doing yours.
Um, yeah, that's tough. I have them all on my Facebook page.
Oh,
So if you
the links to their solving it.
yes,
Okay, I'll also try. I think I found your Facebook page sometime in the past. I'll have to look for it.
yeah. So if you find my Facebook page, then you can scroll down, and I've shared every video that they have done solved my puzzles well on.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it, Eileen.
Yeah, I'm only a dancer. Well, I shouldn't say that because I'm now doing other things as far as square dancing is concerned. But you've been talking, and this might seem a dumb question. You've been talking a lot about going everywhere doing calling. Do you ever do actual teaching, or does somebody else do the teaching and you just do the calling?
Well, I do. I teach my own club. Like I said earlier, my advanced club that I have. Of course, I run advanced classes and I run C1 classes. I'm running a C1 class right now. Teaching them how to dance C1. When my SSD/plus club was active, I would teach basics and SSD and um, plus and DVD and all that sort of thing. So I do uh, quite a bit of teaching, and of course, when any kind of festival or anything, there's always workshopping and intros and that sort of thing that they want you to do. So I do plenty of that also. Actually, I enjoy teaching, and I've gotten a lot of compliments on my teaching in specific. That I'm very clear and I can explain things uh, in a way they understand. Which of course, is it's just another skill is trying to figure out. A lot of people learn differently, so you have to be able to explain something 3 or 4 different ways so that everybody who learns differently can get it in a different way.
Yeah, that's what I find with some of the things that well, put it this way, in our group we've got somebody that's been dancing for years, and now they're starting to learn how to do the left hand, and it's so funny how you have to double explain something that they've been doing on the right hand, but they can't get it when it's being done on the left hand. And it's
Yeah.
starting all over again. So, yeah, I find it's quite interesting.
Well, oftentimes it has to do with the way they learned originally also. And I kind of went into this a little bit this weekend because uh I don't know, I ran into something, I think it was linear cycle I was teaching and just workshopping linear cycle for people. And as soon as I put them with like 2 boys together or 2 girls together, they were having a hard time, of course. And I had to explain, I said, if you learned how to dance this based on feel and a traffic pattern, then you're going to have a hard time because this is, you have to be able to do it from different places. And so in order to do that, you're going to need to know the parts. So then I went into teaching and explaining the different parts and how to do this part and that part and went through the entire sequence of the entire call. So uh, that was kind of the thing, but again, so it depends on how they learned originally. If they learned to dance based on feel, you're going to have trouble trying to get them to move to the opposite position. Whereas if they learn based on definition, and they learned on if I'm here, I do this, if I'm here, I do that, then they typically don't have a problem moving over. So,
Okay.
Thank you.
mhm.
I mean, do you yodel?
No.
Well, I ask that because Hannah could teach him. Jeez.
I've heard on a yodel.
Have you?
I have.
Very good. Anyhow, okay. Well, it was great having you here, and we'll hopefully see you down along the lines of the road eventually again.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
For my side, in terms of getting out of Canada again. Not, I don't have any travel plans set up at this point, but You know, if you get a chance to call over in Montana or something, I'll sneak across the border.
There you go. I think I've got, let's see, I've been to Minneapolis a few times. I am planning a trip to Chicago at some point. Um, Thinking 2026, somewhere around there. Trying to work that out with a couple of the clubs in there. So,
Okay, well, thanks for coming on, and I'll post this on YouTube this week, and we'll see everybody down the road.
all right,
Mhm.
sounds good.
Great. Thanks. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eileen. Okay.